Hey everyone, welcome back to Teenager Therapy. I'm Gael.
I'm Kayla.
I'm Thomas.
And welcome back to the podcast. It looks a little bit differently.
Yeah.
Looks a little different, um
Yeah.
it is not a big change. This isn't like a new set. We're not like don't freak out, stay calm. It's just
New year, new us.
Yeah.
Actually.
no,
Big
we're
upgrades.
literally just because it's could not shoot from Thomas's bedroom because it was a little inconvenient because it's been hectic. It's been a hectic couple of weeks with school starting,
Mhm.
new schedules, new routine. I feel like that's a lot emotionally. It's hard to deal with, but yeah, I don't know. More than anything, we just kind of have to do it, of course. So once we settle into it, we'll be back in Thomas's room as scheduled every week.
Mm-hmm.
This week's episode is about how to be alone, how to learn how to be alone. It's a little bit of everything, I suppose. Trusting yourself to be alone, self-trust, loneliness versus being alone. All of those topics. I feel like this has been really relevant in my life recently that I've really been noticing like these past 2 weeks. Because I've been going through a lot of difficult emotions in the past 3 months or so, right? It's been a lot of difficult emotions. Mostly due to a couple different situations all kind of combined at once. And, if we would have had this conversation like 5 months ago, mid-year last year, I think I would have given a different answer to the question of, do you trust yourself to be alone? I think I probably would have said no. Probably would have talked about how scared I was to be alone, how anxious it made me, how worried I was that if I lose people close to me in my life, or if I'm suddenly alone and lonely, that I would fall apart and I would just lose myself, lose my routines, my habits, and just not be able to be the best version of myself. But now, 5 months later, I feel like I've gone through a lot of difficult emotions and a lot of difficult situations. And as it turns out, like, I'm fine. I am okay. I'm okay. I dealt with it and I turned out okay. Like, it wasn't as bad as I hyped up the situation, right? It wasn't as bad as I just amped it up to be of all these things, because I went through a series of events that caused a lot of sadness, a lot of pain, a lot of anger, basically every negative emotion you could think of, a lot of anxiety. And for the first time in my life, it really kind of was just up to me to figure out. There was no one. I guess I made a choice to not run to anyone, to deal with it on my own and figure it out. Not that it's a bad thing to have others help you, but in the moment, I didn't really feel like that's what I needed. And so I kind of took these negative emotions and I just felt them. Like, I just felt all these emotions, let myself be hurt, let myself be sad and in pain. And it took a couple months of feeling that way. And then eventually I got back up again and I realized I don't feel so bad anymore. And then recently this month, I feel like has been slightly tough on me in a very subtle way, in a way that I didn't even notice. And this is why I feel like I've sort of grown a lot by being alone, because one, I'm like, even just going off to do my work stuff or going off to do my personal things. There was a point in my life where I would always be on a call with someone, and I would always be calling someone, always talking to someone, and there was company constantly, I was with someone essentially. And these past months, I've realized, wow, like, I am doing all this without anyone by my side to talk to call on these drives or anything. And it has felt really nice. There's a lot of peace that comes with knowing that I can do it and it's not as bad as I imagined it to be. Because I think when we're surrounded by people or we think about the concept of loneliness and being alone, it's so easy to make it seem like it's the end of the world, and it seems really scary. But I think once you go through hard things, you realize like you can do it. Like you can trust yourself to get through it. And even though this month has been really tough on me mentally, I feel okay with it. Like I feel okay with it. Like if I feel sad or frustrated or whatever it might be, I just cry and I let it out, and I just know like there's no sense of worry or panic. I think is the biggest thing. There's no sense of panic. It's peaceful in a way of kind of like reaching this point where you know the emotions will pass and you'll be okay, and my routine isn't going to get messed up. I'm not going to lose myself. I'm not going to fall apart. At the end of the day, everything will be fine. And I think a big part of that was because I spent so long establishing these little foundations and these habits of, I think a big one for me has always been taking care of my body and my diet and making sure to feed myself and exercise and be active. And that's a habit that keeps me very grounded. And then also doing things that are new to me, like journaling and writing gratitude letters to myself. And I think it's like a combination of all these little tiny habits that have built up this foundation that I didn't even know was there. Like I knew I was working towards something, but before you actually go and experience these hardships and these bad emotions, you think like, have I done enough? Have I built enough of a base to trust myself to not fall down incredibly hard when someone does knock me down? And I guess the point I'm trying to make is after I went through it and I experienced it, I realized I am very proud of myself for the mentality that I have built. I think I always struggled a lot with self-trust, trusting myself to be okay, trusting myself to be alone. And so recently I've been feeling very grateful for myself. I don't know. I've been very proud of myself for that. And I've been very proud of the way that I continue to handle things. So that has felt nice. And so I think when we talk about being alone, it's important to keep up the perspective and remind yourself that if you have good habits that you've been working towards, you'll probably be okay. Like I think it comes with a lot of trust and stuff like that. Yeah.
That's good to hear.
I know. I was like, that's refreshing to hear. You don't hear that often.
I think the age of 19 has just been a year of independence and being on my own and growing up. Because I think even though we were going off to college at 18, it was still very immature and we were just focused on having fun. I felt like I personally didn't have a lot of responsibilities during freshman year. And I think when I turned 19, it's just been a lot of opportunities for me to just be on my own. For example, going to France with just me and Kayla. We've never traveled outside of we've never been anywhere with just us, and for us to go to Paris and the South, just on our own, booking the Airbnbs and figuring out the transportation, navigating it, not knowing the language. I think that trip really did make me open my eyes and like, whoa, I lost my phone there. I got mugged in Paris and I was able to figure it out, and I didn't have like this horrible reaction to it. Like I normally would when something stressful really happens. I wasn't like I was definitely not happy about it, but I was not freaking out or panicking. Even Kayla said so. She
Yeah,
acknowledged it.
I was very surprised.
Yeah.
I really was. It wasn't your typical Thomas reaction.
Yeah,
That's why
I mean,
was like,
I don't know what was getting to me. I don't know what sparked it. Maybe because I had nobody else to turn to for this. Like, it was on me to figure it out. Calling the banks, calling my family. Oh my God, it was the most stressful time of my life. But I got through it, and ever since then, it's just been more and more of just me being on my own. Like, I don't have anyone to answer to. I have to go grocery shopping on my own accord, which I haven't done in a bit. I recently just got my license. I think that was a pretty big moment for me. I'm like the last person in my circle to have gotten my license, so it's a big deal. And I feel like as soon as I got that license, I just felt so grown because I was putting it off because of that fear of growing up, and I knew that as soon as I got my license, it would have made adulthood real, and there would have been no excuses like, oh, I can't drive, like someone has to drive me. Well, I can take myself there now. And it was just nice. Being on my own and getting my license has been just fun because I can go wherever, whenever. I took myself on like personal dates when I was back home. It was just, I don't know. I think right now I have a lot of gratitude for myself and my company. And that's something I haven't really been dealing with since I've been so codependent for most of my life. Yeah.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
There's a lot of growth coming from Thomas. I don't know. When I think of being alone and being independent, all that, I feel like it's been like that for a while, at least for me. And so I'm more so just used to it, or it doesn't necessarily faze me. But recently, I have sort of been thinking about when or if.
I'm scared.
No, it's nothing scary. I've just been thinking like when or if me and my boyfriend break up, I will have a new sense of independence that I had before, but discovered in a new way now. And that's scary and nerve-wracking, but also exciting because with us now, we don't really message consistently throughout the day. It's more so like afternoon and then nighttime, catching up on the days. And I like it like that. And to me, I'm like, oh, that's healthy, like I'm not going to get super attached like that. And I think for the longest time, when I would think of relationships, my immediate fear was like, oh, I don't want to get like too attached, or like, I don't want to get attached, period or whatever. But I'm now realizing that that's inevitable. Like,
right. Yeah, you guys, you can't control how attached you get.
No, literally. It's like even if you message like twice throughout the day, you will get attached to that person because you're doing it consistently. They're building constant. They're a constant in your life. Like regardless of if you have a bad day, bad week, you're going to message that person. And so without you even recognizing it, you already have that foundation built. And so I'm just nervous to see how I'll be once I don't have, like that person to necessarily turn to. Like, I know I can message my friends, but like I don't message them daily necessarily because I feel like that's a little bit too excessive.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
it's just discovering a new sense of independence that I hadn't before, because I mean, even like in like high school, and going into college, I was sort of already figuring things out on my own just because my family doesn't really, they can't really help even if they wanted. And also my siblings too, they did things on their own. So then they would tell me to like, you need to get on this and this and this. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. But being alone, I don't know. That's,
Yeah. It's your
I'm
first
not sure.
relationship, so you have a lot of experiences that
You see,
no go.
there's just this like, how old were you when you started dating him?
18.
18.
I'm 19 now.
And now you're 19 now.
But a lot happened in that year.
Yeah, no, that's
So-
what I'm about to say.
So much happened in that year.
It's weird dating from the ages of like, junior year and then into college, because there's so much growth that once, you're dating for like a year, 2 years, 3 years, you look back and you're like, holy shit, we started dating when we were 17, 18, etc. And now we're like 19, almost 20, maybe 20 even. And that's when it hits you. Everything becomes a lot more real because character starts showing, because there are more serious things you have to talk about in a lot of ways, because now you're both genuinely focusing on careers, and you might be looking at jobs, and you have work, you have classes, you have a lot of things to manage, and you realize like why like this person that I love so much now I'm like is unrecognizable or just completely incompatible. And it's weird how quickly that shift comes, that you don't realize it until you're already like, this isn't gonna work. Like, it worked when we were just having fun and it was like, there wasn't anything to worry about besides just loving each other. But now like we both have things to do, I have things to worry about, and like sometimes you realize our characters don't match, like our values, our lifestyles. It's
for sure. And something that gets me too is, I think if I met him now, would I still be willing to date him?
Yeah, and that's
not
so
like
trippy.
regardless of the history we have. Like if I met him now, just as he is right now, and how I am right now, like would I still? Oh, would I still, give it a chance? And I don't know. But also, Thomas, how you were saying about like the independence thing, how like there's lots of freedom in it. I totally agree. It's so nice, but also it's so scary.
Yeah.
Because you realize that even if you wanted to go to someone for something, you sort of can't.
Yeah.
And you need to figure out the answers on yourself. Like
everything is up to you.
Basically.
And that's
for
both
rent.
a very freeing and scary sentence.
And I think that just goes to, do I trust myself that I'm going to be able to get through everything that's going to come my way? Which I think I will, because I mean, everybody here in this room, I feel like, has been through so much.
Mm-hmm.
And yet we've gone through it. So it's scary to think about, but I don't want to put such an emphasis on like the negatives of it, because then I get just overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Because the negatives, I mean, we live through daily. And so we're getting through the days. So
honestly, I don't really dive into the negatives, because even now, even though I have reached this new level of independence, it's still not complete independence. I'm 19. I'm in college. I go home to my parents' house like every week. So I'm not truly independent. And I think I'll really, really start to think about all that when I'm out looking for jobs and then I graduate. And yeah. So I don't know. Right now, I'm trying to be patient with myself, because if I spend all my time stressing out about the future, then I can't do that right now.
And, even though this episode you could take it two ways, because a lot of people, I think, associate being independent with being alone, which I guess is fair to say for, it's pretty closely linked, I would say. When I think about independence, to me, it's up to you. When I think about being alone, it's up to you. And so I agree with what you said, Kayla, about it feels like we've been doing this.
Yeah.
Like
exactly.
Like we've been doing this because, one, just of course lack of privilege, no support. In a lot of ways, of course, we're supported, but a lot of it is up to us. And I think for me, what I'm experiencing now, I think, is not this. I don't think it's necessarily a shock or a revelation of like, I'm so independent now. It's just that, like, I, I don't know how to exactly describe it, what I'm feeling. Like, even today, I was thinking about it. I was like, I, I'm only like 19. Um, but I, I kind of have this, like, I can rely on myself completely if I chose to. If I really chose to rely on myself completely, I would be fine if suddenly, my mom was like, you cannot live here anymore, you have to go. I realized like I'd be able to figure that out. I basically have like my job, career. I'm not in school, which I think takes away a lot of the comfort of like, I still don't need to do this. And so, it's weird. But it's also like, I'm like coming to a lot of peace with that fact. And like I said, it's less about the anxiety of it and just about the peace of it all. And I'm like, oh shit, like all these things that I was scared of that like would I have the capacity to do, like I'm already doing them basically. And like it'll be okay, like I'll be fine. I can do it whenever I choose to. And so yeah, I think learning to be alone is self-trust and building habits, because I think the people that are just scared of being alone is just like, do you trust yourself, you know?
What?
Nothing.
Oh, okay. Because I remember before, Gal, when we would talk about like being alone, you would just be adamant on the fact that like you didn't want to be alone.
And before we continue the episode, we want to tell you about another podcast recommendation since you all loved the last ones. There's an amazing show that is about as real as it gets, and that's Tigress with Nadia Okamoto. You might know her as the viral TikToker who talks about periods, or as a social entrepreneur and author. But Tigress is where Nadia sits down and gets really real. She shares her unfiltered, unedited, honest diary on her journey of being a work in progress. To her, being a tigress is about getting vulnerable and building resilience. So if you like to talk about topics such as mental health, body image, and internet culture, you'll really like Tigress. So check it out wherever podcasts are available. Do you guys trust yourself?
Probably not.
Really?
I feel like I can't say a definitive yes or no answer. Well, like, what do you mean by that exactly? Like, what?
Nothing.
Why are you laughing?
I just think Kayla is probably the most self-critical person I've ever known. And I think
Really?
she's so capable of so much, but she just does not trust herself.
I think so too.
Like she's always doubting herself. She always thinks she can't do this, but she totally can.
I think you need confidence.
Yeah.
Probably. That was so sweet.
I love you.
Anyways.
Oh, you're crying.
Why?
Oh.
Anyways.
I don't know if I trust myself. I mean, I kind of do, but yeah, sure. I trust myself. I think I can say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I am curious though, Kayla, because I always have wanted to know.
God.
Like, do you see yourself as capable?
Yes. But in a way, it just seems scary to like fully know my potential. Because I do think I set these limits on myself, which I don't really know why. I don't know why, but yeah. I think sometimes I just set limits as to like what I can or can't do just because either like I haven't had the experience or like I haven't tried it yet. And so I just think that like, oh, you know, this isn't meant for me, or like I shouldn't do this, blah, blah, blah. But I do think I am capable. Yeah. I do. I feel like I should just trust myself more and trust that like I know what I'm doing. Because, I mean, I'm here now and like I've done a lot. So I think I just need to be more kind to myself. Because I think a lot of times I'm just thinking of other things I should have done or things that I can be doing right now. But I know that sometimes I just can't do it all as much as I want to. But
I think you can still not know what you're doing, but still trust yourself. Because I think that's how I feel. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, but I still trust myself that like things are just gonna work out. Things have worked out in the past, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't really think about it that way, but with that mindset, then
none of us know what we're doing, Kay.
Yeah.
Maybe besides Kyle over here, but
it's just the thing is,
he's
I just
figured himself out.
Yeah,
I just feel like I will figure it out.
Yeah.
Like that's the big thing that it's a good, thank you for bringing it up, because it's good to emphasize that I'm not saying I know what I'm doing, I have it figured out. It's just I know that I will, because every problem I faced, I have figured it out somehow. Like it's like I'll figure it out. And I think it's like reminding yourself in these little moments that's like, you know, like when it comes, if you want to boil it, like take it down to even the simple moments. It's like driving on the freeway, you know? Like how much preparation can you really have? Like you can't really go through much education. You just kind of like, you know how to drive. And then eventually you'll never feel prepared enough. You just have to trust you'll be okay and trust that you'll figure it out. And then you do. And then remind yourself, like I did it. Like like doing hard things gives you confidence. And I feel like all of us have done so many hard things in our life that we should be confident that we can do it and we'll figure it out, because that's all we've been doing. So that was really beneficial.
This is a little bit unrelated, but sometimes I think if I weren't going to school, I would have more time to figure myself out.
But less of a direction. And that's scary.
I guess. But it's like, which one do I want?
Well, the thing is, like,
I think about that
when
all the
people,
time.
I want to, what do you mean when you say figure myself out? Because I feel like everyone's always like, I'm figuring myself out. It's like, what is the practicality of that? Like, what are you doing, to do that?
Like day to day.
Yeah. Like, what does that look like? Figuring yourself out? Because people are like, I'm figuring myself out. It's like, what the fuck does that look like?
Well, it's supposed to look like learning what you like, learning what you're passionate about. And I think a lot of people use college as a way to kind of just put them inside, like in a certain direction, so they keep on moving forward. But they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're passionate about, and they don't know what they want to, pursue for the rest of their lives. And I think I know what you mean by saying dropping out gives you that opportunity to figure it out, because I completely agree.
Because with school, it takes up so much time.
Yeah.
A lot of time. And there's more distractions. You don't have you don't have your family around you all the time. You don't have your friends from home. You have a completely different set of people that most likely don't think like you at all.
Yeah.
So you have all these distractions around you that sometimes make you question yourself and what you want, which I guess it is good for growth and just being exposed to different parts of the world. But for 4 years,
I mean, longer than that, I feel like we don't get a lot of opportunities to really learn what we like. We're put inside this system of having to get the best grades and take these classes that we don't like, but we do them just to get into good schools, and we do the same exact thing over there.
Like, I feel like learning yourself and figuring yourself out is just exploring your curiosities. Of course, if you don't have any curiosities, then it's like, well, I honestly don't fucking know what to tell you. But besides that, like, if you have curiosities, I think knowing yourself is just as simple as exploring that. Like,
I completely agree, but it's not as simple when you don't have the time.
Yeah. easy for someone who's not in college to say it.
Which I admire you for.
Yeah,
Greatly admire you for.
but
Well, the thing is, like, we definitely have time for it. Like, you could always do little. Oh, no, I don't. Oh, I don't mean to sound like you always can, but sometimes the way I see it is like, what other choice do you have than to make time for it?
I agree, but it's just harder in practicality.
Yeah.
It's sort of, I mean, it's.
you can
If
say
you
that
th- no,
about
no,
anything
I was
if
about to say,
you really
like,
want to.
for example, think about your parents. They come home from a long day of work, but hey, they should make the time to
Yeah.
figure out something that they like. They should make the time to like spend time on their hobbies. But like they just want to go to bed. They just like want to eat and go to bed. And it sucks so badly, but I can't like hold that against them.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So what can you do?
Make time.
That's the thing. Like, it's like, what can you do? It's like,
Yeah, I think like just finding small avenues on exploring
Yeah.
that, you know, like
Making whatever efforts you can.
yeah, it doesn't have to be like the whole day or daily, just like sometime throughout the
Yeah.
week.
even
Maybe
just watching a video on it.
Yeah. Maybe taking a class about it, because that's what I'm trying to do. I just fill up my my schedule of classes I like find interesting and not classes I need to take. But yeah.
That's college.
Gosh, yeah, I don't know. I never really know how to answer the fucking question of like, how do you figure out what you want to do? How do I explore my passions? Because at the end of the day, like, the answer is so boring. It's just you have to sacrifice some things and take a risk to pursue what you want. And if that means your grades are gonna fail, that's what's gonna happen unless you can do both at once. So I don't know. It sucks. It's the way it is, though.
Yeah, it'll be fine though.
Mhm.
I mean, it will. It genuinely will be fine.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, sometimes I'll have hard weeks, or a bad day, and I sometimes think, what if the time just stopped? Like, what if it just stopped right now? Like, what can I do, please? But it doesn't stop, and it gets to the end of the day, and everything gets done at the end of the day, regardless of whatever happened. It will get done, and we will finish college, and you know we'll do this and this and this, and
Yeah.
everything will get done.
Yeah.
so that's
I'll be sticking in college. Like, at the end of the day, I talk a lot of shit about dropping out, but I know damn well
No, I would not.
I'm staying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
good. Get your education. I would not advocate for dropping out. I just happen to be in a lucky situation. Yeah, I don't know. Being alone, being independent, same thing. I don't think there's much else to say about it. Trust yourself.
And then we turn 20. And
Oh,
things are
but-
going to be a lot more real.
And then everything we said will just spiral or something.
I don't know who I am. I can't be alone. I was a
Yeah.
liar.
I mean, I feel like everybody has that for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
It's just this constant journey of self-discovery and
Oh my god.
everything, which is annoying. Like, I wish there was a point where you just knew,
Yeah.
but you don't.
I'm thinking about this. This is kind of off topic, but I'm thinking about the TikTok that you sent me, Thomas.
Which one?
That I saw today, and it was this podcast. It was like podcast.
Oh, yes.
And basically, the guy said that he relies so heavily on future versions of himself that when he finally reaches that point, he's more unhappy then.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow.
I sent out the same TikTok.
what does he mean by relies on future versions of himself?
Like,
example-
he's unhappy now.
Oh,
and
he'll be happy once this happens.
He'll be
then.
happy
Okay.
when,
Yeah.
at this age when I have this and that. And
Like when I accomplish this, then I'll
Yeah.
be happy. When I make this amount of money, I'll be happy. But you have to think, what if that doesn't happen? You can't be so set on future versions of yourself. And I
Yeah.
was like, wow, that's so real. Because I catch myself doing that sometimes too. And it's sort of like a wake up call. That
Yeah.
You
yeah.
have to be
It's a
happy
nice way
with
to
what
cope.
You are.
Yeah, have to be happy with what you have now and
It's
who you are
true.
now.
And I think that's the mindset shift that I've been really trying hard to make. And therapy has like helped a lot with it. And the biggest thing was those fucking thank you letters to myself. Those really help. They're so healing. Like, I'm so sorry, but they're so healing. Like, oh, every time I write one, I'm just like, you're so right. Like,
That's so funny.
yeah, and like it really helps. Like being like, like I'm like proud of you who you are right now. Like, you have, because you realize like, wait, like I have all these great qualities. Like, why am I constantly longing for this imaginary person who's stronger or more emotionally stable or smarter? It's like, I have all those things right now. It might increase a little bit more in the future, but they're still existent now. So,
Yes.
yeah, that's our piece of advice, I guess, for our poll, our question. It was so funny. In the last episode we did about nepotism, kids and privilege and stuff, I polled them, what's your family income? Combined family income. Answer? Yeah, we got a lot of answers, and it was interesting.
Range? Or like, what was the most?
Yeah, I want to know the highest amount.
I know. Who's listening?
Let me check.
I'm actually pretty curious. I feel like it's middle class.
That would be fair.
I just find it hard to believe that a rich kid is listening and relating to us. Reason to. Right? I mean, it's possible, but like I don't know. It's hard to imagine.
So 42% combined family income. 42% is 50K and under.
Oh, hey.
Majority. So there we go, guys. There we fucking go. Like, we're with you. 21% make 50 to 99K combined family income. 25% 100 to 250K. So not bad. Like,
that's a
25%.
That's more than. Yeah,
that's comfortable.
That's middle class. That's middle class.
Wait, that is not middle class, is it?
Combined? I don't know, to be honest. Probably.
I think it is.
I think it might be.
That's so crazy that.
Wow. I don't fucking know. Don't quote us on this. I really like
I'm
this.
Sorry.
Our uneducation
probably
showing.
Sound dumb right now.
7% was 250 to 999K.
Damn.
So 7%, and then 5% said $1 million plus.
You guys are trolling.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, take it with a grain of salt.
You guys are bots.
But if some of you got $1 million plus, invite us to your vacation homes. Like, we do accept charity work.
Yeah.
Help struggling college students.
Help struggling college students.
We'll bring you on for a price.
For the right.
I'll give you a tour of campus. And take you out to lunch.
On you, actually.
On you, Kayla. Thank you all so much. I don't know what I'll ask. Do you trust yourself? And then I'll have you guys write a little gratitude letter in the comment section of the Spotify episode. So thank you all so much for listening, and we will see you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.